So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Vampire. So let's start the series. The Godame Hokage of Konoha, Senju Sunad, moaned in frustration as she considered the council's most recent decision about the Kyobi Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. She frowned and netted her fingers in front of her face, thinking, I don't see why they can't just leave the kid alone. It's not like he's done anything wrong. She was interrupted by a knock at her office door, to which she replied, Come in, exhausted. The visitor was a tall boy with bright blue eyes and blonde hair, wearing a red jacket with black flames emblazoned on top of an orange and black jumpsuit. What was most odd about him, though, were the three thin whisker marks on each cheek, the pointed orange ears on top of his head, and the furry orange tail that swayed to and fro from under his jacket. He looked around the room, his vulpine features showing boredom, and said, You wanted to see me, Bao-chan. Yes, unfortunately. The council has made yet another decision regarding your situation within the village, she said, constantly checking the drawer containing her sake bottle. When she looked up, Naruto was still wearing the same bored expression. You don't seem too surprised, she said. Why should I? They've been making decisions for me my whole life. Now, I just forget to care a lot of the time. Well then, in the case, you won't be too surprised by their decision. They've decided that you are too dangerous to be kept in the village, especially with the recent pain situation. So, despite the fact that I saved this ungrateful village from a crazed ex-nin with a god complex and the rest of his insane henchmen, managed to effectively destroy the strongest of all demons by stealing its chakra and survived the Senin training on Myobakuzen while perfecting an S-class jutsu which I myself created, they still feel the need to banish me. Not banish, per se, more like, send you somewhere you can learn to control your new power, then you can come back. Gazing directly into Tsunoda's eyes, which turned cold blue, Naruto questioned, You had to work hard to allow that, didn't you? Though Tsunade was sweating, she said, Damn, this kid is too good a shinobi. So, where are you sending me? High school. Huh. Tsunade said, Shizune gave me a leaflet yesterday. She said that a priest had dropped it, as she dug through her drawers until she found a small white leaflet that she gave to Naruto. The blonde shinobi read the folded paper, occasionally humming or raising an eyebrow, and then closed it when he was done and tossed it back onto the desk. Yaokai Academy, huh. Sounds alright. When do I leave? Tomorrow. I tried to garner more time, but the council wouldn't allow it. You have tonight to pack your things. Then you'll be picked up in the morning by a member of the school staff. Naruto said, Well then, I guess I'll be seeing you tomorrow, Bao-chan. If I don't, I'll just say goodbye now, as he turned to face the door. Don't act like this is the last time you'll be here. You'll be coming back, I promise. Don't worry if you can't, Bao-chan. It's not as if I'll miss this place. I'll be going now. I have to pack. For school. The following day. With a suitcase in hand and a bag on his back, former Konoha resident Jinchuriki stood at the village gates facing the village, with all of his pals in front of him, many of them holding boxes of various sizes and forms. He muttered, Well, I guess this is it, guys. And his buddies grinned pitifully as Shikamaru moved forward. He took a scroll out of his pocket and gave it to Naruto. He stepped back as Naruto pocketed the scroll. Then Chuji came forward holding a box with a ramen bowl printed on the side. I did some research on this school of yours. This is what you'll need to survive. Don't open it until you get there. Though, knowing a troublesome blonde like you, you won't listen, he said. The Akamichi stood behind his shadow-wielding comrade and said, I got all your favorite flavors. And lots of them. Don't eat them all at once. Ino then came forward, her eyes welling with tears, and gave Naruto a large red and orange flower. She said, This is an orange jelly. I want you to take care of it and show it to me when you get back. Just promise you'll come back. And grinned when she saw Naruto nod and smile. Kiba then approached and gave him a small wooden box, which he opened to reveal a pair of black gloves with long metal claws that covered his entire finger, the back of which protruded when he clenched his fist, and a blade end that extended well past the fingertip. Naruto was astounded by the craftsmanship and looked up to see Kiba smiling. You like, Foxy? I got my cousin to make, for ya. The metal of the claws is perfect for chakra conducting, so you can use your Fudan chakra to make, even sharper. Naruto remarked, Whoa, thanks Mutt, I'll put these to good use, and he put the box in his suitcase. Kiba moved aside to make room for Shino, who came forward carrying a big glass tank and a cloud of bugs. Though his cloak obscured his face, Naruto thought he detected a smirk as Shino said, This is a bug tank, Try collecting different kinds of bugs at this school. Then you can bring them back and show me when you come back. Just try to recognize me when you return this time. After hearing Shina's little laugh, Naruto smiled and said, "Come on, you're still sore about that." He shut the tank as Shina's insects fled within his body. Tenten then approached and took two of her familiar scrolls out of the scroll holder on her back. "Tenten, you're giving me the Soshoyo," Naruto said. Her stoic teammate, Hyuga Neji, came forward next. He took a small book with a flame symbol on the cover out of his backpack and gave it to the blonde shinobi. "Yep, I have another copy, so don't worry. Plus, for everything you've done you deserve it," she said, grinning as she moved back to stand with the rest of Naruto's friends. "This is a copy of the joke and basic technique manual. Even if you don't want to use our style, or feel it dishonorable, I want you to try to learn it, just in case you should need it." "You sure?" Naruto inquired, glancing at the book's cover. Neji told him, "Yes, look at it this way. If you learn it, you can customize it, make an entirely new style," which made Naruto's eyes glitter. Neji laughed at his friend's immaturity and then returned to stand with Tenten as Lee unexpectedly came forward. The majority of the audience gasped at Lee's antics as he yelled, "Here, Naruto-kun. I have procured a book on taijutsu styles for you. It lists our own Galkan style including several others. Train with this book and become a truly splendid ninja." He then walked back to his teammates as Kakashi, Kurenai, and Guy approached. Kurenai held a scroll in his hand, Guy a set of weights, and Kakashi a large box. He glanced at the scroll and saw that it was a genjutsu scroll. Kurenai pointed at the scroll and remarked, "I thought this would help you since I know you're still lacking when it comes to illusions." With everyone once again perspiring, Guy said, "These weights will allow you to reach greater heights in your taijutsu abilities. Naruto-kun. Use them, and let your flames of youth burn brightly." As Naruto opened the box and saw what was inside, Kakashi's eye began to twitch. "I have here something so precious you will not ever want to stop using it. Just be sure to keep it safe, and use it the way it was meant to be used," he said. "Kakashi-sensei, this is a set of Ika books." As he used his swirly thumbs-up no jutsu, everyone started to perspire a third time. The three Jounin moved back to stand with their respective students, or, in Kakashi's case, Team 10 because he had been going on multiple missions with them, while Sun had moved forward and placed a large scroll in Naruto's arms. "I know, it's the greatest gift ever, right?" said Kakashi with a nice smile. Naruto questioned, glancing at the big rolled-up piece of paper he was holding. "What's this, Sun at Bachin?" "This is your heritage. It's from your father. It contains all of his special techniques," Sun had remarked with a smile at seeing Naruto's eager face. "Does that mean inside this scroll is the Hirai? Don't tell everyone. Just keep it a secret. Open it when you get to school. Speaking of which, when am I leaving?" "The staff member should be arriving soon." "How is he arriving?" Sun had said. The leaflet said something about a large yellow vehicle. I think it was called a bus, but she stopped when she heard an odd noise that sounded like a roar coming from the distance. A big yellow object with wheels and a strange man with glowing yellow eyes drove it through the trees that lined the path to the village. Kakashi muttered, "I think that's it," as he gazed at the strange car. Shikamaru cynically remarked, "Really? What would give you that idea?" The bus came to a stop next to the crowd, and when its folding door opened, the yellow-eyed man smiling at Naruto was visible. "You coming, kid?" Naruto said, "Yeah, just give me a sec," but was interrupted by a booming yell from the town. Hinata was standing in the center of the road when everyone turned around and said, "Naruto-kun, where are you going?" As the crowd began to perspire once more, Naruto questioned. "Nobody told Hinata, did they?" Kiba scratched the back of his head and remarked, guess it kinda slipped our minds." Tears streaming down her pallid cheeks, she sobbed, "Why are you leaving? We just started getting to know each other well." "It's not my choice, Hinata-chan. The council they're making me go. But I'll be back, I promise," Naruto said, meeting Hinata's eyes. She shed a few more tears before putting her arms around his neck and sobbing into his jacket. She remained there for a short while before releasing them and kissing his cheek, grinning at Naruto's slight flush. A shiver went down Naruto's spine when the pale-eyed Kunoichi said, "You better come back. If you don't, I'll just have to hunt you down, won't I?" He turned back to the bus and noticed that the bus driver was growing impatient. He hurried onto the bus and loaded his luggage into the side compartment. The mechanical door closed, separating Naruto and his friends. He sat in a window seat and waved to his friends as he departed, seeing Hinata sob into her cousin's shoulder. In fact, many of his friends were crying. Tilting his head to look at his passenger, the driver said, "You come from a small town, kid. I guess you could say that." After some time, the bus driver told the blonde ninja, "Here we are, kid, Yakai Academy. Be careful, it's a terrifying school," as he got off the bus. Before Naruto could question him, the doors closed and the bus departed. He shrugged and picked up his suitcase before making his way between the gray, dead trees that bordered the path, along with a number of skulls and gravestones. "Is this a goth school of any sort?" He thought as he glanced around his macabre surroundings. His ears twitched and he leapt back, narrowly avoiding a swarm of bats flying out of a hollow tree. Then he heard a strange metallic whirring noise, which grew louder and louder as it got closer to him. Naruto turned just in time to see a particularly attractive girl with pink hair riding a bike before the bike crashed into his stomach, sending both people and the metallic vehicle flying across the path. The bike's wheels bent and mangled as Naruto and the girl flew in the opposite direction. When the shinobi cleared his head, he discovered that his hand had landed on something remarkably soft. He squeezed the soft object and heard a soft gasp from somewhere above him. He looked up to discover that his hand had landed on the girl's thigh, dangerously close to her thigh. He quickly removed his hand and looked up at the girl. She wore a green jacket, a brown skirt, and a simple white shirt that was slightly open, showing a small amount of cleavage, along with a sliver rosary adorned with a single red bead. Her bright pink hair was even brighter than Sakura's, and she had an odd cowlick in the middle of her head. Her eyes were bright green and gleamed from beneath her fringe. Before offering the girl a hand and assisting her up, Naruto got up and dusted himself off. The girl stood up precariously, but it didn't last as she slumped into Naruto, her eyes slightly glassy. "I apologize," she replied, looking up at him, "but my anemia makes me feel a little lightheaded." Naruto looked at the girl fretfully and said, "It's okay, are you sure you're all right?" Looking at the cut on his palm, she cried, "I'm fine, I'm just oh, you're bleeding." Naruto stared at his hand bewildered. "Yeah, I guess I am," he said, but his thoughts were racing. "Why am I bleeding?" he asked. He was distracted from his thoughts when he felt something sniffing his hand. He looked down to see the girl's face in his palm, sniffing the blood stains on his skin. A moment later, she moved her head from his hand to his neck in a single fluid motion, opening her mouth to reveal long fangs. Surely the yaki I got from Kyobi should have healed it straight away, he thought. "I'm sorry, you just smell so good, it's all because I'm a vampire," she said, sinking her fangs into his neck. Naruto winced a little as the sharp teeth pierced his skin, but the pain soon subsided. She started drinking the valuable crimson liquid as if there were an endless supply, which, in reality, there was. After a while, she removed her fangs from his neck and licked her lips while looking up at her victim, who was staring at her blankly, as if nothing had happened. "Finished?" he inquired. Confused, she said, "You're not surprised, or scared, or in pain, or even angry at me. I suppose I'm accustomed to people biting other people, especially in the wake of the Orochimaru incident," she said. "Ryuite, so, what's your name?" While leaning forward in a manner that Naruto found endearing and holding her hands behind her back. Recalling Sasuke's remark to Neji during the Chonin exams, he responded, "Isn't it common courtesy to give your own name before asking another's?" "Oh, right, sorry, I'm Akeshi Imoka, a freshman here at Yakai Academy." Uzumaki Naruto, also a freshman. "Oh, how great. Maybe we'll be in the same class." Observing that their attire was entirely different, he said, "Yeah, maybe. Is there some kind of uniform for this school?" "Huh. Weren't you sent a uniform?" No, I didn't know I was coming here until yesterday." "In that case, there should be a uniform in your dorm." "I didn't get a key," she said, "just look in your pocket," in a mysterious way. He shrugged his shoulders and reached into his pocket, unsure of what it would do. After a while, his fingers curled around something that had not been there before. He took it out and found a tiny silver key. His words, "That's kinda creepy," were unclear. Within the guy's room, Naruto stood in front of a simple green door with a small sign that read his name. He inserted the key he had taken out of his pocket into the lock and pushed the door open. He looked around the room and noticed that it was eerily similar to his Konoha apartment, even down to the leaf symbol poster above the bed. He put his suitcase and bag on the floor before putting his ramen cups in cupboards and a chest of drawers in the corner, on top of which he placed Shana's bug tank. He then put the technique scrolls and books on the desk by the window and placed the box containing Kiba's gloves next to them. After putting everything away, he fell onto his bed and sprawled out onto the orange bed coverings while surveying the room. His eyes fell on a clock that was hanging on the wall, and he felt something in his pocket right away. He reached into it once more and took out a folded piece of paper that he knew had never been there before. Naruto opened it and saw that it was some sort of schedule, and he realized that he would be seriously late for homeroom if he didn't get going now. He literally leapt from the bed into the air and ran to the wardrobe, where he knew his uniform would be waiting. Just in case, he put on a pair of brown pants and a plain white shirt. He then put on the green jacket and tied his necktie loosely. He then grabbed his bag, which he had already packed, and fled out the door. Naruto started running down the hallway, but he remembered something. The shinobi returned to his door, locked it, covered his ears and tails with a hinge, and disappeared. In the classroom, Nakanom Shizuka opened her mouth to say, "Welcome, first years, to Yakai Academy. This is a school for," but was interrupted when a blonde male ran into the classroom and the door slammed open. Naruto hurried to an empty seat by the window and yelled, "Sorry, Nakanom-sensei." He sat down and took his bag, searching through it as he emptied his belongings. "You're Uzumaki-kun, correct? It's all right, just make sure it doesn't happen again," she remarked before starting over. "Welcome first years, to Yakai Academy. This is a school for M." Another voice yelled, "Sumimasen, sensei," as the door slammed open once more. Naruto looked up from his bag to see Mocha, the recette from earlier, standing in the doorway. He also saw that all of the male students in the class were staring at her with hearts in their eyes, many of them drooling and giggling lecherously. He smiled at his pink-haired friend, who returned the smile, but she chose to tackle him from across the room, leaping onto him and exclaiming, "Naruto, we're in the same class. I'm so glad." After witnessing the stunning girl leap into the shinobi's arms, many of the lustful looks changed to ones of hatred and jealousy. She remained around his neck for a short while before Nakanom decided it was enough, and then she cleared her throat loudly, which made Mocha leap, unlatch herself from Naruto's neck, and leap into the seat behind him in a single, smooth motion. The cat-like instructor inquired, receiving nods from the students, "If everyone is finished, may I finish now?" "Good, then, where was I, yes. Welcome to Yakai Academy. As you all know, this school is a school for monsters," she said. Naruto's eyes became wide as he anxiously scanned the classroom, glancing at each kid one by one. Observing that some were less typical than others, he came to the conclusion that, "I'm so screwed," was the only thing on his mind. As Naruto perspired profusely in his seat, Nakanom remarked, "This school was set up to teach young Yakai of harmony when it comes to living with humans." From the seat next to Naruto, a boy with brown hair slicked back asked, "But why can't we just eat the humans?" The cat instructor remarked, "Because that's not nice, Komiya-kun, and if I hear you say that again, you'll be in detention for a week," with a sickly sweet smile. The youngster turned away, observing Naruto's uneasiness. "You know, I think I smelt a human scent from somewhere over here," he smirked. Naruto moved away from him and gazed at an unidentified bird outside the window. "So sensei, what if a human were to make his way onto our campus?" he said. Nakanom remarked nonchalantly, "Well, he'd be killed upon discovery," which increased Naruto's anxiety. "Why am I concerned? Damn it." He dismissed his concerns, thinking, "I'm technically no longer human, even if I can't use all of Kyoba's power." He had no idea that someone had discovered his secret. When Seizu inquired about humans, why did he get so anxious? Unless, he couldn't be, but, oh no. This is awful. Very, very terrible exclamation mark after class. Mocha followed Naruto as he walked strangely in the opposite direction of their next class, seemingly even heading for the bus stop. "Naruto, where are you going?" she yelled, causing the blonde Jinchuriki to turn. "Naruto," she thought as she stared at the back of Naruto's head, suddenly feeling extremely concerned for Naruto's safety. "To the bus. But why? Don't tell me you're leaving." "Mocha, you don't understand. I understand more than you know, Naruto. I realize that you're keeping secrets. I know you feel like you're surrounded by people would rather eat you than be friends with you. So, you figured it out, huh? How am a well, I guess you're half right." "What do you mean? You're a human, right?" Ha, I used to be. Then I met a certain foosball, and things went downhill from there. Foosball? Ever heard of the Kyobi no Yako? Naruto asked, causing Mocha's eyes to widen. Yeah, that's the one. It kinda got sealed inside me when I was born, and I've had to live with that burden for my whole life. I've been hated, beaten, almost killed, ignored hell. So many bad things I can't even count anymore. Then, a few months ago, I used too much of Foosball's power. I somehow absorbed the beast itself, and became it. In a way, I gained all of its power. So why were you leaving if you aren't technically human? Naruto's statement, I wasn't actually leaving, I was just gonna get a letter sent back to Konoha, caused Mocha to perspire. He laughed and opened his mouth to respond, but was interrupted by another voice, saying, so, you're Kashia Mocha, huh? Why do you hang around trash like this, huh? When you could be with a real man, like me. Seizu approached them. Naruto questioned, ugh, what do you want? Before being slammed into a wall. Don't you dare speak to me, trash. So, how about it, Mocha? Wanna take a ride with me? Just leave us alone, Seizu. Seizu said, wrong answer, before his muscles began to protrude from beneath his school uniform. His skin turned green as he grew to an incredible size, and metal bracers appeared on his forearms and a piece of ragged hide wrapped around his waist. What Seizu had become was truly a monstrous sight. This is my true form, an orc. First, I'm gonna kill the blondie, then I'll make you my woman whether you like it or not. Do you think you're the only monster here? I'll show you a true demon. Naruto yelled, his voice becoming demonic as he looked up. His eyes were crimson with a black slit down the middle. His whiskers had become darker and more defined, while his hinge dropped, revealing his fox ears and tail, the latter swaying in the air. Naruto unsealed his gloves from a space on his belt and slipped them on, the blades immediately igniting with crimson flames. I am Kyobi no Yako and you are my prey. Naruto disappeared from the gravestone, leaving deep cracks in the carved rock. He reappeared in front of Seizu, swinging his claws at the green-skinned yokai. The claws shredded the skin of his chest, leaving a deep gash with burn marks around the edges. Seizu roared in pain as he stumbled backwards from the force of the blow. The orc swung his fist again, which Naruto dodged, jumping off to the side, but it didn't work, as Seizu's fist caught his leg, sending him spinning into a tree. Dust flew into the air from the impact, but that was quickly swept away by a breeze passing through the area. Naruto stood up, red chakra swirling around his form as he let out a low growl. Suddenly, the Jinchurika's eyes widened and he fell to his knees, clutching his head in pain. Did you think you could get rid of me that easy? I'll be with you forever, Naruto-kun. There's no changing that. While Naruto reached out to her, Mocha hurried over to the fallen Naruto and grabbed hold of his shoulders. Naruto's claws wrapped around Mocha's rosary and quickly removed it, causing Mocha's eyes to widen as they were surrounded by an amazing quantity of yaki. Not even I should be able to take it off! Agony in Naruto's head subsided as he turned to face the Mocha-shaped swarm of bats before turning back to face the frightened Seizu. She thought this as the sky became crimson and a swarm of bats flew down from the blood-red moon, literally burying her in them. Hey, Greenskin. What's going on? He stammered. This can't be V vampire, as he stared at the young vampire, paralyzed by fear. Naruto turned back to face Mocha, who had changed slightly. Her bright pink hair had turned silver, and her green eyes had turned blood-red and slitted, just like Naruto's own. Mocha. She yelled. Stay back, Uzumaki, this is my fight now, before charging at Seizu. He snapped out of his terrified daze and tried to smash Mocha under his fist, but she stopped him with her own before continuing. Know your place, she yelled as the orc vanished into thin air. Mocha turned back to Naruto and grabbed the rosary from his clawed hands, then swung it upwards into Seizu's chin, breaking his jaw and sending him skyward. The pressure of her yaki vanished completely, and the vampire fell, exhausted from using her yokai. Naruto caught her as she raised her head, putting her mouth to his neck. Kapu cho tilde. The following day, after Nakano stated, "Good morning everyone. Please take your seats. Now, today, we'll be..." Naruto ignored her and chose to gaze out the window at nothing in particular. His eyes then turned dead and dull as he entered a meditative state. When he opened his eyes, he saw that he was in his mindscape's familiar sewer tunnel. He ran along the flooded pipes, aiming for a specific location, and he saw the markings he had made on the wall as instructions. The shinobi entered a large room full of broken stone fragments, with the remains of a stone cage at the other end, hidden in shadow. He moved between the debris, gazing around at the destruction in his mind, stopping just in front of the destroyed bars and looking into the darkness at the end of the room. He yelled into the darkness, unafraid of what may be inside, "Kyobi, I know you're in there. Come out, or I'll just come find you." A laugh echoed through his mindscape, chilling him. It wasn't a demonic or bestial sound, it was just black. A girl about Naruto's age emerged from the shadows, her long crimson hair reaching to the back of her knees. She was wearing a long black dress that incredibly embraced her figure, with a golden rosary hanging from it and a black lace choker around her neck. She had several red flowers in her hair above where her ears would be, 2 red fox ears on top of her head, and a red fox tail swaying from underneath her dress. Her crimson eyes matched Naruto's, and she approached him, swaying her hips as he did. As she stepped around him, she stroked his neck and murmured, "Oh, it's so good to see you again, Naruto-kun. I thought I'd never see your handsome face again. Aren't you glad to see me?" she said. "Not particularly. For most of my life you've either been trying to kill me or take over my body. I'm sorry if it's hard to miss someone who does that." With a seductive extension of the suffix, she said, "Oh, you're still holding on to that old grudge. I say we let bygones be bygones and get to know each other a little better. Huh, Naruto-kun. Don't play games with me, Kyobi. You should be dead after I took your power. How are you still alive?" "Oh, all right, I guess we'll just have to play another time. I'm still alive because Shinigami-sama owed me a favor." "Why? What did you do for him?" "I kept you alive. Your father asked a favor of Shinigami-sama. He asked him to look after you. Now, while the death god couldn't do this himself, obviously, he chose the next person, the person who would be with you till the day you die. So, as payment for keeping me alive, you were kept from dying." "Exactly. But now, as a result of you taking all of my chakra, I'm no better than a regular ningen. So you're human now." She leapt at the blonde shinobi, pushing his face into her chest and throwing her arms around his neck. Naruto caught hold of her sides, lifted the smaller demon off of him, and put her back on the ground. "Not exactly, but I might as well be. But oh well, at least I get to spend an eternity with you," she exclaimed. The kitsune gave a lovely little pout when Naruto remarked, "You may still be a demon, but right now, I'm stronger, and bigger." He turned his head away as Kyobi smiled triumphantly. "So, what am I supposed to call you?" he said. "What do you mean?" The demon placed a finger to her brow for contemplation. "Well, I can't exactly call you Kyobi. I'm the Kyobi. You don't even have one tail yet," he informed her. Well, I guess you'll have to call me something. Call me Ririn. Is that your name then?" "Nope, it's the name of a stuffed duck that talks in an anime I watched." "Ook. Oh, by the way, could you perhaps try to release me?" "Now why would I do that? How do I know you won't try to destroy everything when I do?" "2 simple reasons. 1, you're much stronger than me. You could keep me in line," she replied with a smile. "And 2, if I were to destroy everything, I wouldn't be able to spend any time alone with you. Now would I?" "I suppose I guess I'll get right on that. When I don't have schoolwork, that is." "Ah yes, school, the bane of any teenager. Well, any human teenager. Demon school was actually quite enjoyable." "Oh yeah, what was so good about it?" "We got to eat humans, and our classmates. In fact, or was that just me? I am now glad Yakai Academy exists." A far-off voice yelled, "Naruto, Naruto. Wake up, sleepyhead." Naruto glanced around before focusing directly on the ceiling. "Mocha, guess it's time for me to wake up." While attempting to avoid their teacher's attention, Mocha snarled at him, "Naruto, what's wrong with you? Wake up." He answered, nervously smiling, with a "Oh, sorry, Mocha-san, guess I was a little distracted," to his close friend. Little did he know that a blue-haired girl sitting 2 seats away from him was staring at the two of them with malevolent ideas in her head as she placed it on her arms. "Akeshi Mocha, I will give you no trouble. I'll have Yakai Academy." As the vampire queen plunged her fangs into his jugular once again, Naruto questioned, "Mocha, you know I'm not your breakfast, right?" She licked her lips and withdrew her mouth after she had gotten her fill. She half screamed, "Sorry Naruto, but you just taste so good," which caused a few people to blush from the unintentional innuendo. Naruto just shook his head and put a hand to his neck to check for a wound, but surprisingly, there wasn't one. Then he remembered that vampire saliva was said to have amazing healing powers in addition to his own, and he mentally noted that he should give Shikamaru a lot of thanks the next time he saw him. The scroll he had given him contained information on monsters. Suddenly, he heard someone breathing heavily and whispering a call for assistance. "Hey, Mocha. Why don't you head on up to class? I'll meet you there. I gotta check something first," he said, and she nodded before skipping joyfully into the building. Naruto then walked around the building to a stream that he had used a few times for Suit and chakra training. On the other side of the building was a girl with violet eyes and sky blue hair who was wearing the school's alternate uniform. She was on her hands and knees on the ground, panting heavily. Naruto hurried to the small bridge that crossed the stream and approached the girl, asking, "Hey, are you okay?" as he drew closer and closer. With a hand resting on the side of her head as though she had a headache, she looked up and said, all of a sudden, I got a little dizzy. Naruto saw how stunning she was and her many assets. "I'm sorry, but could you please give me a hand?" he said. "Yeah, sure," Naruto said, placing his hands on her upper arms and gently lifting her to her feet. However, she chose to lean against him, her head resting on his chest, rather than standing upright. When he asked her again if she was okay, all he got was the girl rubbing her chest against him. Naturally, as a healthy male teenager who had been trained by both Kakashi and Jiraiya, Naruto did not find this experience unpleasant. He simply didn't let it show, not wanting to come across as perverted just yet. The girl exchanged emotions from merely rubbing herself against the blonde shinobi and asked, "Is something wrong?" Naruto helped the girl walk even though her head was resting on his chest, saying, "No, nothing. Anyways, we better get you to the infirmary." Nay. Inside the main structure, the girl, concealed from Naruto, remarked, "Thanks for your help," with a smirk on her face. Before rushing off to find her friend, Mocha pondered, "I wonder where Naruto is. He didn't show up at all for homeroom, and he's already late for our first class. I'm going to go find him." Across from the school, the blue-haired girl and Naruto arrived at the courtyard in front of a school, where they had to move slowly to make up for the girl's apparent illness. "Sorry to bother you, Naruto-kun," the girl said, approaching the demonic ninja up close. Naruto narrowed his brows. "Oh, it's Nothi, wait, how did you know my name?" he said. After giving it some thought, the girl said, "Geez, aren't we in the same class?" with a flimsy explanation. "Really? I guess I never noticed." Naruto looked to where she was and saw nothing at all, but he could have sworn he had seen a ghostly apparition in the form of their homeroom. "Yeah, see?" the girl asked before averting his eyes. The girl then turned back to his bewildered expression and laughed. "Although she's adorable, she's also a monster, isn't that right?" After thinking, "I wonder what type she is," Naruto extended his arms and said, "Hey, are you sure you're okay?" as the girl fell into him once again. Remarkably composed, Naruto questioned, "Huh? What is it?" She glanced up at him and whispered, "Look at my eyes. I'm Kurano Kiryumu. Please be my friend." Naruto was so enthralled with her violet spheres that he abruptly lost all control of his body. "Hold on a second, charm." "Oh, succubus!" recalling the entry on them in the scroll. Naruto thought that by making direct eye contact, their charm ability could be used to control those of the male persuasion. He felt himself put his arms around Kiryumu and start to hug her tightly as she kept rubbing herself against him, but he stopped when he sensed another, more familiar presence. When Mocha noticed Naruto encircling Kiryumu with his arms, she said, "Naruto, who's she?" Surprised by the muscle she discovered on Naruto's chest, Kiryumu touched him and said, "Aren't we in the same class? Isn't that right, Naruto-kun?" When Kiryumu grasped Naruto's hand and started dragging him away, Mocha's eyes opened in surprise. "Yeah, same class," Naruto muttered before regaining control of Kiryumu and holding her close. The captivating sensation washed over him again as she gazed up at him and exclaimed, "Let's go, Naruto-kun. Class is about to start." Mocha yelled, "Wait, Naruto," as she followed them. Naruto's thinking came to a standstill as his inner self cried out for him to get over this succubus mind trick. "No, I'm not gonna wait for you. Cause Mocha'll treat me as her breakfast again," Naruto replied, and Mocha's eyes widened in amazement once more as she took in what he had said. As they departed for class, Kiryumu exclaimed, "That's so mean, treating you like food. Let's get going before you get eaten. Mocha stood there on the edge of tears. In the classroom, Naruto slipped back into his meditative state to escape to the depths of his mind while Kiryumu and Mocha glared at him from behind. Once inside, he discovered that he had entered a completely different room, one he had never been to before. He peered into the depths of the room and saw many large dark shapes in the shadows, with a few faces flitting in between. None of these were happy, though, nor were they unfamiliar. They were all the faces of his friends and teammates, moving around in the darkness with their mouths open in silent screams. His voice reverberated through the tunnels of his mindscape as he yelled, "What is this Ririn? Is this your doing?" He started to move into the darkness at the end of the room, but he stopped when something appeared in front of him. It appeared to be a large eye, formed out of the shadows it was encased in, and when it opened, it revealed a blank white eye without a pupil or iris. Naruto attempted to go around the eye, but it followed him. "The fox has had no hand in this, child, this is all you," said a deep voice that seemed to be emanating from the eye, which blinked a few times like a regular eye would. "Who are you, and what is this?" "I am you, boy, the fears you harbor, the hate you isolate, the darkness you contain. What are you talking about? What is there to fear?" "True, you fear no foreign threat. You are far too strong to be afraid of any creature, human or demon. Therefore, logically, the only thing you can fear, is yourself. Tell me when you start making sense." There was a silent scream as the eye said, "You fear that the immense power you hold could put your precious people in danger, even hurt them directly. You fear that you could lose control, and kill those around you. Tsunade, Kakashi, Hinata, Kiba, Shikamaru, even little Sasuke. Okay, why are you here? Why now? Now that you have the full power of the Kyuubi, your fears have amplified to the point that they have become sentient, they have become me. That is why you agreed to go to this place, because you felt you would be protecting your Nakama from harm. But now there are new people in your heart that you fear to get close to, people you would hurt if you get too close. What a crock, look, what's your point?" My point is that to stop this cycle of fear, you must cut off all ties to humanity." "You're kidding me. There's no way I'm gonna give up on humanity." Before disappearing into the shadows that made it, the eye told him, "Then you must live in fear, child. Just know that in time, you will have to give in to your fear unless you destroy its source. Remember my name, boy, Khufu, the embodiment of fear, lives within you for now, but soon, unless you destroy your fear, I will break free from this prison and your soul will finally be mine." Naruto simply turned away and walked back into the tunnel, but he didn't make it more than 4 steps before he collapsed. Is what the thing said true? I have to give up on mankind in order to get rid of my fears, or I become fear itself. Naruto asked as he knelt down in waters of his mental realm. No, I'll find another way, I'll control this power, and use it against him. When the time comes, I will not let this power hurt anyone but him. Returning to the classroom, Nakano called out to the semi-conscious shinobi, Uzumaki-kun, Uzumaki-kun. When he eventually woke up, he shook his head to get his thoughts straight before turning to face the teacher. "Sorry, what was that?" Naruto placed a palm to his forehead in contemplation as she added, "I asked you a question. Which cat-loving author wrote, 'I am a cat'? The fake version." "That'd be Ukita Hyakun, real name Ukita Izo," Naruto said, startling the instructor. Okay, I guess I'll let you off for sleeping, but don't do it again, you hear?" Hi, Naruto thought. I need to get Khufu off my mind for the time being and focus on the issue at hand. Kiryumu and Mocha. I need to find a way past Kiryuma's charm, or I'm screwed, as he started to nod off once more. He shook his head once more and made a hand sign beneath his desk, concentrating a small amount of chakra into a simple genjutsu to trick his class, primarily Nakano and Kiryumu. The genjutsu gave the impression that Naruto was paying close attention to the teacher, but in reality, he had whipped out Shikamaru's scroll and unraveled it over his desk, looking for the entry on Sakubai. Let's see now. The charm ability can only be used successfully on males and only if the succubus makes direct eye contact with the target. It is also not permanent and needs to be reapplied every few hours for people with average minds, but it can be weakened and reapplied more frequently for people with particularly strong minds depending on the mind. In some cases, the ability has been removed or stopped entirely, but this is only possible for people with split personality disorders or extremely strong minds. The latter has been shown to defeat the charm because the second personality can override the succubus control. I understand that it is somewhat like to Ina's Shintenshin no Jutsu. I've only ever known one person to defeat that, and that person is Sakura. In the Chonin exams, Sakura's other self managed to drive Ino insane, but how does that help me? Unless you include Kyofu, I don't have a separate identity, and I won't let him go. Ririn uttered the words. Obviously you've forgotten about me, Naruto-kun. I can be your second mind, mentally. You're capable of that. Ignoring that the title was no longer hers, she corrected herself, saying, of course, I'm the great Kyo I mean, the great ex-Kyobi. Since I have some iota of Yaki left, I can still merge it with yours to some degree. Simply flare your Yaki when she takes over, and I'll merge with you temporarily and destroy her control, she said. All right, thank you in that case. Kyobi asked, maybe later you can reward me with a different kind of merging. And sent Naruto some slightly inappropriate images through their mental link. Naruto quickly closed the link and fought back his blush before releasing the genjutsu, forgetting the scroll was still on his desk. Everyone turned to look at him when they saw the scroll suddenly appear on the wooden desk. Before any of them could read what it said, Naruto quickly snatched up the scroll and rolled it back up, placing it in a seal on his belt. He smiled nervously at his class as they raised eyebrows in response. A magic trick. Following class, as Mocha stood in the hallway, drinking a can of tomato juice, a voice above her said, so, you're a vampire, huh? That's one of the rumors. When she looked up, she saw Kiryu sitting on the banister above her. The blue-haired succubus leapt down from the banister to stand in front of her, and a number of male students started to swarm around the two. I came here to challenge you. As the succubus approached closer and closer, Mocha said, a challenge. Kiryu was standing behind her, staring out the window. You're in the way of my plan. What plan? As she started to dance, much to the audience's delight, Kiryu said, this is the succubus Kurano Kiryuma's master plan. My plan to turn all of the boys here into my obedient love slaves. Isn't it against school rules to reveal your true identity? Ignoring everything Mocha had said, Kiryu screamed angrily, but you, Akeshi and Mocha, are making all the boys fall in love with you instead. My charm shouldn't have lost to you. Lightning appeared between the two, indicating the impending battle, or at least if Kiryu had her way, so I have decided to steal Uzumaki Naruto from you, and defeat you completely. Mocha virtually shrieked at the succubus, but this has nothing to do with Naruto. Why drag him into this? She froze, but then she heard another voice coming from the hallway. As Naruto approached her, Kiryu ran right past Mocha and into Naruto's chest. Ah, Mocha. I was looking for ya. About earlier, Naruto said. She buried her head in Naruto's chest and exclaimed, Naruto-kun. Naruto took hold of her wrists and pulled her away from him. Sorry, but I came to speak to Mocha. Oh yeah, charm, she said as the familiar wave of Yaki spread out from her eyes and started to control Naruto. Sensing that he was losing control, he closed his eyes and visualized a flame in the dark. He then started to fan that flame, which grew and intensified. As this continued in his mind, a thin aura of red Yaki formed around his body, indicating that he was using his own method of calling forth demonic energy. From within him, Ririn connected her Yaki with Naruto's and responded, yes sir, I'll get right on it. She located the connection between Kiryu and Naruto close to his chakra center and started using her corrosive energy to chip away at it. Kiryu pressed herself against Naruto-kun and remarked, you smell really good, Naruto-kun. His blood must be tasty, which is probably why you had him for breakfast. He's almost human. In an attempt to justify herself, Mocha responded, no, that's not I'm not using him or anything, but was interrupted when Naruto chose to speak while still being controlled by Kiryu. I see so that's why she wanted to be my friend just like this morning. Come on, Ririn. Act quickly. All of this is getting to be too much for me. Mocha nearly burst into tears as she exclaimed, no, you're wrong. She turned and hurried down the hallway, the tears she had been suppressing pouring down her cheeks. In the hospital, for some reason, Kiryu knelt on the bed next to Naruto, who was sitting in a chair next to one of the infirmary's beds, and performed a little victory dance. In a sing-song voice, Kiryu exclaimed, yeah, I made her cry. Mocha-san's tearful face is just too priceless. Before getting out of his chair, Naruto thought, I can't keep saying such things to Mocha. I need to somehow immunize myself to her abilities, or I'm going insane. Naruto-kun, where are you going? I have to apologize to Mocha. Kiryumu screamed, wait, and sprung up at Naruto, snatching his head and holding it to her chest to suffocate him with her possessions. You must be feeling depressed, Naruto-kun, but it's okay, 'cause I'll comfort you, she whispered as Naruto passed out. However, Mocha was far from unconscious. As she sat on a step outside the school, tears streamed down her face. Do I really just want his blood? She said aloud, since no one else was nearby. I don't even know what's what anymore, she muttered. Mocha looked down to see the gem on her rosary glowing, with a slitted eye in the center. Is this the time to be depressed? A deeper, slightly muffled voice asked from somewhere close to her chest. Naruto is only enchanted by that succubus lure. It's called charm, and he's merely being controlled by it, Mocha said. What the my rosary? Those who receive the succubus kiss are subservient, and their energy will be stolen from them until they die. No way. The rosary said, hurry, before ceasing to light and stating. Hurry. Where to? Mocha asked no one in particular. After surveying her surroundings, she got up and started running toward the main building, exclaiming, Naruto. Naruto was lying on his back on one of the beds in the infirmary when Kiryumu crouched over him, her arms and legs on either side of him, limiting his range of motion. Kiryumu, he asked as her face got close to his, a noticeable flush on his face, but he knew it was a false. She said, don't move, her face drawing closer and closer to Naruto's. But, Kiryumu told him, I'm also very nervous. You'll be the first I've tried this ability on, Kiryumu said, causing Naruto to relax into the bed. She put a hand on his cheek and whispered to him, that's why, don't run, all right. She leaned into him even more, their lips nearly touching. Suddenly, Ririn was able to break the mental connection, and Naruto regained control. He grabbed her and pulled her into an embrace, her face moving straight past him. Not like that, not so tightly, she cried as she fought against his hold. Eventually, she stopped wriggling and gave him a hug in return. Be gentle, all right. Kiryuma's eyes widened as Naruto apologized, saying, I just can't do it. What the fuck, another charm. I said some really bad things to Mocha just now, and, as she struggled against him, Kiryumu exclaimed, is that woman so great? I even did something like this. I did such embarrassing things just to get you. She pushed him off of her and onto his back, rising to her full and unimpressive height, her forked tail and leathery wings breaking out of her uniform. Enough. I'm angry now, she yelled. The hell? The scroll didn't say anything about this. I'll destroy everything related to that woman. Go now, Naruto. Mocha cried as she dashed into the room, crashing into Kiryuma's side and sending her flying out the window. Stop, she cried. Don't you dare lay a finger on Naruto. What? No. I'm not gonna leave you to fight her. I'm not just a human anymore. I can help you. Before Kiryuma's forked tail flew through the broken window and wrapped itself around Naruto's neck, Mocha told him, no, Naruto. Her gaze can enslave the minds of men. She could use it against you if you were to fight her. She then pulled him through the window frame, Mocha grabbing onto his legs and soaring into the sky with him. Damn it, you're too heavy. Kiryumu yelled back as her tail's hold broke off around Naruto's neck, sending him to the ground. He landed in one of the trees with Mocha on top of him, and both of them leapt to the ground. The blonde shinobi took his gloves off his belt and put them on, channeling his chakra into the blades, which grew longer and sharper as he moved them around. He ran after Kiryumu, his blades slicing through rocks, trees, and graves as he went. Eventually, he discovered Kiryumu floating above the ground, grinning heavily as her incredibly long claws stuck out from her fingertips. You're the only one that can resist my charm, and Mocha is the only one that can make boys love her instead of me. Both of you are in the way of my plan, so I have to destroy you now. With his head down and his clawed fists clenched, Naruto said, and what makes you think I'm just gonna stand here and let you hurt either of us? He looked up, and Kiryumu felt a sudden wave of fear run through her body. Naruto's eyes were blue as usual, but they were like pieces of ice, and even the warmest of hearts could be frozen by just staring into them. An almost arctic wind blew through the area, causing Kiryumu to shiver as she floated. As her teeth started to rattle, she replied, just what are you? Huh? I'm Uzumaki Naruto, son of Namake's Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, and Uzumaki Kushina, a former Kyobi host. I am the shinobi that defeated Akatsuki, Pain, Gaara, and Orochimaru almost, I saved Konohagakure no less than 3 times, and I became the strongest Damasenin there is. But to you, right now, I am death, he said, completely frightening Kiryumu and making the wind even colder and stronger. The succubus wings went numb due to the icy gale, and she fell like a stone. A sickening crack sounded as she hit the ground, and she cried out in agony as she clutched a leg. She looked up to glare at Naruto, but her eyes widened because she couldn't. Naruto was no more. As she frantically looked around, she yelled, "What the H? How is this possible? How could I be beaten so easily?" She froze even more when, though she couldn't see it, a voice speaking from directly in front of her spoke with no emotion at all. The voice said, "Because when you threaten those I consider precious, I just snap." And then there was another sickening crack and pain in her other leg. "If you dare threaten Mocha again, I'll break your spine. Got it?" Kiryumu nodded, and Naruto reappeared in a swirl of icy wind. Naruto then lifted Kiryumu in the bridal style and carried her back toward the school. Without even trying to fight, she said, "Why are you helping me now? I thought you hated me." When Naruto said, "Now what gave you that idea?" "I simply warned you what would happen if you threatened anyone I deemed precious. I think you could be a good friend if we got to know each other." The icy surroundings vanished and were replaced by a gleaming sun sitting in the sun, shining brighter than usual and warming Kiryumu all the way down to her very soul. Who exactly is this man? He is furious at first, and everything turns cold, and then he is joyful and the sun comes out. Is there anything he can do to affect the weather? As she gazed up at the modest king of Makai, she thought, "My test results here are as poor as those I received at the academy. Damn it!" As Naruto gazed at the board displaying the students' test results, he wondered, what is wrong with them? A few meters away, other people were discussing how poor their own scores were. "Also, I'm utterly useless in comparison to Mocha." As the reset dashed in his direction, a voice exclaimed, "Naruto, how did you do?" "Well, I did screw it, my score was completely hopeless." With a Hinata-like gesture, she prodded her fingers together and said, "Well, in that case, maybe next time we could study together." Unaware of the group of guys staring at the back of his head so intently that no one would have been shocked if it caught fire, Naruto said, Sure. I'd love to." However, they were also unaware of the second person seeing Naruto and Mocha's encounter from behind a pillar. The little girl said, "Mocha-san," as she hid behind the pillar. The pillar did little to conceal the witch hat she was wearing, and she was so preoccupied with seeing the pink-haired vampire that she failed to notice the 3 male students approaching from behind. One of the 3, who appeared to be the leader, said, "Well done, Yukari," causing the young witch to leap a foot in the air before turning around. Yukari replied, frowning at the 3 people in front of her, "You guys again. As predicted, you're top of the class once again, as expected from the little genius. I guess skipping all those grades wasn't for nothing. But be careful, things'll be bad if you get too cocky." "What do you mean?" As they grew too close for comfort, another of them lamented, "Well, for instance, your clothing looks like some kind of cosplay. No matter how you look at it, it's against the rules, little girl." The leader held his head in an extremely dramatic manner and exclaimed, "To be honest, as class representative, your entire existence is a headache." The 3 laughed, but Yukari just smirked and shifted her heart-top wand behind her back. 3 metal pans fell on top of their heads, knocking them to the ground with an almost imperceptible flash of light. "Between chuckles," Yukari exclaimed, "serves you right." The leader threw the pan off of him and charged at Yukari, his fingertips growing claws. He jerked his arm back and yelled, "How dare you, you little brat!" But before he could hit Yukari, Mocha moved in between them and put her arms up to shield her. She screamed, "Don't!" as the man in front of her halted. "Akashia." As Naruto rushed to investigate, Mocha said, "You should know better than to attack girls." Mocha nodded as he said, "Hey, Mocha, those are the guys from the second class, right?" The leader said to his 2 friends, "We'll leave her alone for now, come on," and turned away. "You know, being in the same class as that pathetic half-breed is enough to make me puke," he added nonchalantly as he walked away, and Mocha exhaled in relief. "Damn them, it's guys like that who think they can ostracize someone just because they're the slightest bit different that make me want to set fire to something." Naruto snarled, a spark flickering in his hand as if to support his claim that they're just as bad as the people back home. Mocha turned to face him, her face taking on a startled expression before softening and placing a hand on his shoulder. Yukari narrowed her eyes as Naruto relaxed. Anyway, thanks for saving me, Desu. Yukari exclaimed, abruptly shifting Naruto's focus to her. My name is Sendo Yukari. When Mocha told her, oh, I heard about you. You're one of our classmates. Despite there being a 4-year age difference, the girl's smile widened in appreciation. Naruto stated, more as a statement than a question, that must mean you skipped ahead a couple of grades. Huh. The girl blushed as Mocha said, you must be a true genius, Yukari-chan. And I like your clothes too. As Naruto deadpanned, Yukari yelled, oh no, Mocha-san is much more beautiful. Other than that, actually I love Mocha-san. And leapt straight onto Mocha. He stated in a flat voice, okay, now I'm confused, as Yukari started to touch Mocha. I love you even more when you passed by my classroom, and now, because you saved me, I've finally made up my mind. Mocha looked down at the witch girl who was currently riding her and said, made up your mind. Will you please go out with me, Mocha-san? As the girl on top of her buried herself more into her chest, Mocha murmured, about that, I guess it's alright if it's his friends, but later regretted it. Yahoo! I'm so happy. With a hand to his nose to halt the impending nosebleed, Naruto remarked, lesbian witches, tell me, who saw that coming? In the hallway. Well, I suppose it's not that strange when you think about how this is a school created by and for monsters, including all the strange things that happen every day, but it was definitely not something you see every day. Everyone in the hallways stared at the particularly strange sight that greeted them as they left their classrooms, blushes adorning their shocked faces. Mocha was just walking down the hall, a blush on her face as well, and Yukari was being pulled along behind her by holding onto the pink-haired vampire's belongings. As Naruto emerged, sprinting from a corner, he cried, wait, what the hell do you think you're doing, Yukari? I see, you're finally here. Uzumaki Naruto, grades are terrible, athletic abilities are good, but not outstanding, interest, minimum at best and special traits, nothing except those weird whiskers of yours. You're as bad as the idiot males in a manga, Yukari muttered, continuing to hold on to Mocha. Naruto said, now look here, brat. There's no way I'm gonna let you talk to me like, but Yukari interrupted. Before performing a dance with her wand that was only used in some strange anime that made as little sense as possible, she exclaimed, I'm not gonna let my precious Mocha-san be defiled by the likes of you, Uzumaki, that's why, I challenge you. Before Naruto could inquire as to the purpose of the dance, a cupboard opened and buckets, brooms, and various cleaning tools flew out, attacking Naruto. As brooms probed and jabbed him and buckets of water fell on him that seemed to materialize out of thin air, Naruto yelled, what the hell? Why does this always happen to me? Yukari grinned mischievously and held her wand to her chest, saying, why, it's magic, dummy. Magic? What do you mean, magic? Both Mocha and Naruto perspired a little after realizing that, I'm a witch. And from now on, those who come near Mocha-san will be disposed of by my magic. What they failed to see, though, was that the 3 men from earlier were still hiding in the same area where Naruto had first appeared. One added to the other too, there's no denying that, we heard it with our own ears, and they both nodded. The leader, resting against the wall and being too dramatic once more, opened his eyes and glanced to the side. It's against the school rules to reveal your true identity. One as smart as she should know that, added another. You're getting in way over your head, brat. In the hospital. Who knew 11-year-olds could hurt so much? Naruto was sitting on the infirmary bed once more, this time with Kiryumu holding a cotton swab to a cut on his cheek. It seemed that the former Kyuubi had to do it himself because he no longer had the Yaki to heal his injuries. He literally had to push the Yaki to the injuries in order to heal them, something he simply lacked the concentration to do in battle. Kiryumu removed the cotton swab and said, where does it hurt, Naruto-kun? But Naruto didn't realize that a chibi Kiryumu was dancing around in the real one's head due of this. Now, everywhere, and thanks to that little brat, I can't get anywhere near Mocha without being beaten to within an inch of my life, he told her. Hooray! I can now spend some time alone with Naruto-kun since Mocha is no longer involved, thanks to that small child. Well done, Yukari Sendo exclamation mark as she got up and circled the bed. Kiryumu thought, I've heard rumors about her, before crawling next to Naruto. Oh, really? Like what? Haha, what are you doing? They say she's a genius, but still just a selfish little kid who gets teased by her classmates. She probably acts like that because she thinks she's a genius, Kiryumu told the blonde boy seated in front of her, who was rapidly getting closer to the inside of the pillow. Yukari was outside the window, observing the especially amusing exchange. I have a duty to Mocha-san to beat this guy quickly and thoroughly because he is my love rival. The girl took a strand of hair she had recovered from her previous encounter with Naruto and shoved it inside the doll before bending its arm and forcing it to punch itself. Naruto then did the same inside the doll, slugging himself across the cheek before collapsing back onto the pillow. Kiryumu exclaimed, "Naruto-kun," before approaching him to see how he was doing. In the meantime, Yukari was causing the doll to hit itself even harder, and Naruto mimicked every movement it made. When Naruto remarked, Mocha, this isn't what it looks like," she was roused from her daze. What the hell are you two doing? Kiryumu must have used charm, right? Kiryumu shouted at her pink-haired opponent. Of course not. It wouldn't do any good anyway. It doesn't work on him. Mocha questioned. Then why? But then something even worse happened. Yukari, who was still invisible, moved the doll's arms once more as Naruto attempted to stand up. He stumbled and grabbed Kiryuma's underwear as he fell, taking them with him. A breeze blew through the room even though the doors and windows were closed. Regretfully, Naruto decided to look up at that moment, and as Kiryumu leapt away from him while holding her skirt down, blood started to flow from his nose. Sheesh, Naruto-kun. You could have asked. The shinobi in question attempted to flee at that moment but stumbled over the bed in his haste. Naruto, Mocha murmured in an eerie sing-song manner, one of her fangs showing at the corner of her lips. From the other side of the room, a loud, muffled voice said, "Haha, I got you." The three turned to face Yukari, who was carrying the voodoo doll. As Naruto leapt for the window, he exclaimed, "I knew that Brat was behind this. Let me kill her." Mocha caught him and used her tremendous strength to hold him back. In a classroom that is empty, angry at the young witch, Naruto yelled, "Mocha, do something about her." Kiryumu blushed. "You know, I really don't mind though," she remarked. "Not the point," Mocha thought. "She's only young, Naruto," but she was hushed when she saw the expression on his face. "I really don't give a damn. It doesn't matter whether she's 11 or 111. It's common sense, for Kama's sake." "Even so," Mocha remarked, turning to face the young girl behind her. Now focusing his rage on the girl herself, Naruto yelled, "Look here, Yukari, if you keep doing things like that, you're gonna be hated and alone." As Yukari said, "So what? I'm a genius, and I neither want nor need friends who are of a lower intelligence. It doesn't matter anyway. I was alone from the start." Naruto stopped. However, before he could say anything more, a number of pans fell from the sky on top of him, knocking him to the ground once more. "Fooled you twice," she exclaimed in a sing-song voice before rushing out of the room, Naruto following closely behind. Naruto sprinted after her, swerving over other pupils, shouting, "Damn you, you little brat. I'll make you wish you were dead 1,000 times over before I finish the job, you hear me?" As she trailed behind him, Mocha yelled, "Naruto, stop. Getting mad at a little kid is a little overboard, don't you think?" Before pausing, Naruto yelled back, "Damn, I lost her." "Not at all. It gives me all the more reason to, being that her parents should have taught her otherwise." Meanwhile, Yukari was sprinting outside the school beside the creek where Naruto had discovered Kiryumu. Since she hadn't been paying close attention to her surroundings, it was inevitable that she would run into someone. "Hey, that hurt, idiot. Watch where you're walking," she said. The person she had collided with said, "Compared to you, I guess we could be considered idiots," which caused Yukari to glance up at him. "Class president," she exclaimed, gazing up at him as his friends approached him from behind, grinning eerily. "This is the brat that's been breaking all the rules, right?" Someone replied. The other said, "The president sure is angry, huh?" When the class president's fingers clamped around her wrist and lifted her into the air, Yukari stopped swinging her arms in the air and yelling, "That has nothing to do with you." "Oh, it does. You see, we have to punish those who break the rules." Returning to the classroom, the pink-haired companion was told by Naruto, "You're too nice to the kid, Mocha. But when I think about how she's feeling." "Her feelings? What about my feelings? I'm the one who got beat." Mocha said, "I thought maybe you I just can't leave her alone," and hurried out of the room. With her arms folded across her large chest, Kiryumu remarked, "As expected, witches aren't affected by hate." "What do you mean?" Don't you know? Witches were originally half monster, half human, but now they're just called half-breeds, and are hated by monsters and humans alike. That girl's probably really lonely. Naruto was rather taken aback. She is similar to me. Kiryumu jumped at Naruto with her arms out and said, but why are you worrying about her and Mocha? Don't you still have me? Naruto moved, but Kiryumu ended up slamming into a desk. Wah, wait up, Kiryumu exclaimed. The class president and his friends were harassing Yukari back in the forest. They shoved her against a tree, and her back struck it with a loud thud. What the hell do you think you're doing? She yelled, deepening the class president's scowl. What we should have done a long time ago. We're gonna take care of you, you little piece of filth. He roared before something extremely unsettling occurred. Their eyes turned yellow and slitted as scales covered their bodies, transforming them into lizard-like creatures. Our class doesn't need a filthy little brat like you, he said, most of it coming out as a hiss. Yukari then had a flashback to earlier in the year, when 3 girls had insulted her behind her back. But we don't really need to see that, do we? We'll simply ignore it. When the class president laughed and said, what's wrong? Cat got your tongue, kid. You were pretty talkative a minute ago. Yukari leapt from her spot on the ground and attempted to use magic, but the lizard's jaws clamped down on her wand, shattering it before she could finish. Pah, disgusting, she said. What should we do to her, boss? I think we should eat her. With all this mist, no one would notice. The leader glanced up and down at the girl and licked his lips, saying, yeah, that's what we'll do. Sure, there's not much meat on her, but it'll be a change in taste, he continued. The 3 approached the girl with a spooky smile, but were halted when they heard a different voice coming from the clearing. They turned to see Mocha approaching them with her arms clenched into fists and her eyes sharpened. Get away from her. Akeshi Akama, you insist on bothering us yet again. One licked his lips and exclaimed, we should eat her too, boss. Yeah, she looks real tasty, the other whispered, glancing up and down at Mocha while flashing a seductive smile. Yukari said, just run, Mocha-san. Don't worry about me. But everyone paused when a different voice emerged from the fog. The voice said, I agree, you should run, Mocha, as should you, Yukari. You wouldn't want to get caught in the crossfire, in a tone that was emotionless and cold. The 5 individuals in the clearing looked around, but no one was there. Confused, frustrated, frightened. You should be, the voice said. The class president yelled into the haze, come out, you coward. If you can't face me like a man, you're not strong enough to beat me. The voice said, but I am facing you, Tokuge. I'm right in front of you, and the lizard man's eyes widened. He used a clawed hand to swipe out in front of him, but it hit nothing. Too slow, Tokuge. You'll need to be faster to beat a shinobi, it said, coming from behind him this time. The lizardman then used his tail to cut through the air, hitting nothing once more. The lizard yelled, where are you, coward? Come out here, or I'm gonna eat these 2 right here and now. Before freezing as the temperature dipped a few degrees before rising significantly. The leader shook his head in frustration and turned to Yukari. Those were the wrong words, Tokuge. I was gonna let you off, but take the girls with me. But now, nothing with scales is leaving here unscathed, he said. A stream of flames shot out of the fog at one of the lizards, severely burning him. The lizard leapt back, straight into one of the other monsters, knocking them both over. He yelled as he swung a clawed hand at the girl, but he stopped as another hand caught his arm, saying, this guy seems to have some reason he wants to protect you, brat. So the perfect way to stop him would be to kill you. The voice shouted, I told you, Tokuge, you heard her, I'm taking this arm off, as the arm became more tightly gripped. The sound of bones breaking reverberated through the fog, making Yukari and Mocha wince with each crack. The class president yelled, attempting to free his arm, who are you, idiot? The enigmatic voice said, just a dead last, bottom of the class dobe, but I'm the dead last, bottom of the class dobe. Before letting go of the lizard's arm. However, before he could remove the limb, the voice's owner tapped his arm with his index and middle fingers, causing it to become limp and lifeless. What did you do? But this one is different, in that it uses yaki, and my yaki just happens to be poisonous. Either you get it taken out, or you die, Tokuge, the voice said before the mist cleared and Naruto appeared with bright red eyes and red chakra encircling his hands. Joken, style of the noble Hyuga. The voice said. The lizardman screamed, damn you, Blondie, and then swung his other claw at him, but was halted when Naruto started to spin in one spot. Red Yaki encircled him in a sphere and knocked aside everything in its path. Naruto screamed, Oni hack, Aka Kaden, Demon 8 trigrams, red rotation. As he spun, the Yaki burning the lizard and sending him into a tree. When the spin stopped and the red in his eyes vanished, revealing his normal ice blue, he turned to Yukari and asked, Are you okay? He glared at the lizardman. I'm fine, but my back hurts a bit from when they threw me over here. All right, Naruto said before crouching down. Yukari grasped the gesture and climbed onto his back, wrapping her arms around his neck. After she was safe, Naruto approached Mocha, who had been knocked down by the Kaiden's force. He extended a hand, which Mocha accepted, and she stood back up. Shortly after, Mocha fell against Naruto, her legs failing to support her weight. Naruto released Yukari, allowing her to dangle from his back for a moment while he placed his hands in a cross-shaped seal. Another Naruto appeared next to him and picked up Mocha bridal style, and the three lizardmen returned to the school, leaving the three lizardmen unconscious in the clearing. After a few days, as they strolled down the hallway, Kiryu addressed Mocha, saying, You know, Yukari is behaving better now. She's apologized to her class, and everyone's been thinking about how they treated her, and they're getting along now, gradually. Mocha said, That's good, at least she's not alone anymore, as they walked into the vacant classroom where they always meet Naruto. They were completely taken aback by what they saw. Yukari put her little arms around Naruto's waist and exclaimed, I love you, Naruto-kun. Mocha said, staring at the scene in front of her with wide eyes, Yukari-chan, what are you doing? Oh, Mocha-chan. My class is right beside here, so can I play here too? Never mind that. What are you doing to Naruto? As Kiryu and Mocha's blushes deepened with each second, Yukari began a lengthy explanation of why she was in love with Naruto, saying, Well, I may love Mocha-chan, but I've fallen in love with Naruto-kun too. Anyway, I hope Naruto-kun will push me down again real soon, she said. As he fought against her unexpectedly powerful hold, Naruto thought, Great, bisexual witches, even better than lesbian witches. Kiryu grabbed Naruto's left arm and started pulling on it, yelling, No way, brat. Naruto-kun is mine. Yukari then grabbed the other arm and started pulling on it as well, transforming the altercation into an Uzumaki-Naruto tug-of-war. Before Mocha answered, Yukari said, No, mine, as the two girls tugged at their arms. She responded, You can't, Yukari, which caused the two females to pause and stare at her bewildered. Naruto is mine, she yelled as she leapt at him, putting her arms around his neck and biting down on it. Kapachu tilde. Not again,